Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. HOAs were a means to protect the investment of the entire neighborhood back in suburbia's birth. But now they aren't even good for that. They just demand everyone stay in a box and pretend to share their toys. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Sorry, Miranda. I was just doing what you told me to do. Our last house was in an HOA. Our garage had our 2 pickups in it, but my husband's mechanic truck was too long to fit in the driveway without being over the sidewalk, which was against HOA rules, so he couldn't park it in the driveway. He parked it in front of the RV gate that had a gravel driveway. Well, one day we got a violation letter for parking on the landscaping in front of the RV gate, so I called and spoke to the HOA manager, Miranda. She said if we wanted to park there, we had to pave it. I asked her, "So you're telling me that we have to pave it?" She said yes. So we paved it. Then we get another violation letter a couple of weeks later, this one accompanied by a fine saying we needed to get permission to pave the driveway. When I called up Miss Miranda again, I told her that we were not responsible for paying the fine, nor did we need to ask for permission because her literally telling us to pave it was giving us permission. She tried to argue against that, citing some HOA bylaws about applications and approvals and some such nonsense. I wasn't having it and told her that if she wanted people to follow the rules, then she shouldn't tell people to break them. She was pissed, but ultimately dropped the whole thing because she knew she'd messed up. Always remember, HOAs hate going to court. Any HOA that has a professional management company, in addition to the board, a lot have a company to handle admin tasks and the board just votes on stuff, will avoid court like the plague. It basically costs about $10K if a lawyer gets out of bed in the morning, and anything that goes to court's going to cost $40K. So most HOAs will avoid dragging anything into court. Something like this, where you have documentation? Nah, tell Miranda to spin on it. And our second story. Cruise ship tale. I used to work on a cruise ship. In my job, I was paid daily a set rate regardless of how many hours I worked. If I worked 4 hours, great. If I worked 12 hours, not so great. I managed the children's facilities. It was a great job on the low-hour days. I go on lots of complimentary tours via the ship, so parasailing, swim with sea lions, salsa dance classes, dog sledding in Alaska, snorkeling in the Pacific Islands, etc., etc. There was a long-standing issue at the company where if people needed extra hands, they'd come to the children's club and grab us. After all, we did no actual work. We colored and watched Disney movies all day. This really annoyed me because I did not get hired to run bingo or decorate the ship's common areas for Halloween, run sports for adults. I was hired to be the manager of the children's area. Very early on in my tenure, I shot a message to corporate with a list of activities that ship management was trying to force on me. Corporate came back with a lovely list of tasks I could and could not be forced to do. From then on, whenever I'd be asked to do something, I'd pull out my handy-dandy corporate override email, as I called it, that would squash the extra expectations. There's a process on days where the ship cannot park directly at port. The ship anchors down a distance away from the island and then sends tender boats, lifeboats, with passengers to the island. Each tender can fit 75 people, 150 in an emergency. Historically, guest services, the front desk of the ship, would run tendering in conjunction with entertainment, which I fell under. They'd set up a table in a public area and pass out tender tickets to guests. Without a ticket, you can't get off the ship. This solves the problem of everyone trying to stand in line down hallways and clogging staircases. Some of us would work the table passing out numbers, some would stand around and provide general instructions, some would be posted at key points around the ship to direct traffic. The children's club staff would inevitably have to get up at the crack of dawn to work these tendering shifts. My staff member or I would work, for example, 6 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. tendering, 11:45 a.m. to 4:15 p.m. kids club, then 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. kids club. That's a very long day. Plus, if it was your day off, only having to work at night, you'd miss being able to go on most tours as they all start fairly early. The entertainment manager would buy us a nice latte from the ship cafe as a thank you/apology. Then, hallelujah, guest services was supposed to take the whole thing over. Emails were sent out, duties were reassigned. I diligently printed the email and added it stapled to the back of my corporate override email. But it didn't stop them. They kept asking me to come work extra tendering shifts for them. The first time I agreed because I'm a team player, but I told the entertainment manager that I was still expecting a coffee as a payment. Guest services manager agreed. I rock up at 5:45 a.m., ask for the code to charge my coffee under, to be told that I can just have the regular guest coffee from the station they set up. I was seething. The next shift, they didn't ask. They just assumed I'd show up. I didn't show up because they didn't ask. It's not in my job description, and they shafted me on coffee the week before. They called me at 6:30 a.m. when I'd gotten off at midnight the night before. I'm not tendering today. Click and roll over. More furious emails, but they hadn't asked me, so how could I have known to show up? It's their job now. The next week, they tried to book us in advance. I said, I'm scheduled for a tour. The tour department on board would give out free tours to crew with an emphasis on crew that volunteered to help them. Assist in putting together the brochures, a weekly task. More likely to get a tour. They also asked that you arrive to the ship meeting place 20 to 30 minutes early to help with traffic control. They sent my manager a furious email, back and forth. It escalated to corporate again. They felt it wasn't fair that they had to run it by themselves. I felt it wasn't fair to make my staff work extra hours when we're paid a pittance to begin with. Corporate fired back with, if staff are free, they should help out on this particular task to be good team members. If staff are working or assisting around the ship in some capacity, they do not have to help tender. I stapled that to my file. Cue malicious compliance. I gathered my team. At dinner that night, we went to eat early so we'd catch the shore excursions team. They were a great bunch of people and had heard about our tendering woes, and more importantly, how I'd been shafted on coffee. That really burned me up. Shore tours manager, I'll make you a deal. What if you guys just come help us tender every day? You'll get a tour, we'll help, and we'll even throw in a cafe coffee. Done deal. The next tendering day, my two staff went to help the tour team while I worked the children's club. Staff member A got to go on a tour that day, swim with dolphins, while staff member B got hers deferred to the next off afternoon, tequila tasting. I get an angry call at 8 in the morning on the children's club phone. Guest services. Why aren't your staff here? You aren't all up in the children's club right now. Me. I am currently working, and my staff are currently assisting elsewhere on the ship. Sorry. Someone from guest services showed up to the kids' club, but we need you to help, the supervisor whined. I handed her my growing file of things OP won't do and told her to check the last page about working or assisting elsewhere. After that, they'd still call us every week to complain we weren't helping, and every week we'd fire back with, sorry, we're assisting in another capacity as per corporate. They stopped calling me directly because they weren't getting anywhere. They called my manager, shore tours manager, the big bad hotel manager, basically third in control of the entire ship. It went nowhere. I had the email from corporate, and I was following it to a T. Price of a cafe coffee is pennies compared to a couple hours of work. Wow, that's really silly. And their loss. I don't get how this tendering function seems to happen very frequently, but somehow they don't have enough staff assigned to that duty to cover the ship's needs? Like, how is there not an official roster for that kind of duty? Being guilt-tripped into random extra shifts is crappy enough as is without them messing with your damn coffee into the bargain. And our last story. Don't want people to trespass through our backyard to look at the view. We live in a community, 250 homes, and our home and one other are on top of a hill with amazing views. We're on a cul-de-sac, so to see the views, you either need to be in one of our homes or in the shallow backyards. There are no fences, we can't build one, but it's very obvious that it's not open for the public. Also, the edge of our backyards drop off very steeply into a rocky decline, which is dangerous. We both have screened-in porches that go the entire length of the backside of our homes. They're totally private unless someone's in the backyard, so it's nice to relax outside after a shower. Our next-door neighbors and us are very private people. We don't want random strangers wandering around our backyards. They have put up 2 signs along the long driveway. One is a small stop sign below the community-installed sign that says private driveway, and the other says these premises are under video surveillance 24/7, as we both have Ring doorbells and security cameras. We hope this would be a deterrent. People still drive or walk up and come on back to look at the view. Sometimes I've been caught in just a towel after a shower or sunbathing. When we ask, their answer is always, "We're just looking at the view." Yesterday, a guy and his kid came up, and I was pissed. I asked if he lived here, and he said his dad did, and then I asked if he had seen the signs along the driveway, and he said he was leaving. I said, "The signs are there for a reason," and his kid asked him if they were in trouble, and the dad said something like, "Some people don't like to share." I've told the people I've met here that if they ever do want to look at the view, to just call me and ask. I have no problem with that. I just want a heads up. Edited to add information. We've told everyone we've met in the community and told them to pass it along that if they want to come up and see the view, to just give us a call first. We're in the community directory. Same goes for the next door neighbors. We have no problem sharing the view. It's when they come into the backyard and are 2 feet from me in a bra and underwear that I have a problem. Most of the people are community members or their families. We live in a community where we own our own modular home but rent the land. We can't put up a fence or a wall of any kind. We live in a desert. There's no place to put shrubs, and we need that area to get around to the back ourselves. It's the only way to get large items in and out of the house. No dogs are allowed unless they're 15 pounds or less, and I'm terrified of them anyway, so getting one isn't an option. Most of the people who trespass are people who live in the community and know this rule, so they would know that it's fake. For some reason, people think there is a public sidewalk leading to the public overlook. There's a sidewalk right against our house leading from our parking pad right to the stairs to our back porch. We don't have grass, but we have gravel as it's desert landscaping. We have no HOA, just a management company who put up a sign that says private driveway. They're okay with us adding signs along the driveway. What? Of course you were right. It's your property. You don't have to share with strangers. The entitlement. And that's what he's teaching his kid. Also, why can't you put in fencing or some kind of bordering that shows it's private property? Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.